Outside of their circle, ARMY kept the message alive in their own ways: letters, fan art, stories about friendship and courage. IT wasn't about sadness anymore, it was about connection. And that's how the story of one quiet breakdown turned into something bigger. A reminder that vulnerability can create strength, that openness can build bridges. Months later, when Jungkook was asked about that night, he simply smiled. "I think I just needed to be honest for a moment," he said. "I'm grateful that people understood." The interviewer nodded. The world kept turning, and somewhere another song began. Some stories don't end with applause, they end with peace. And this was one of them. Every story has a quiet place where words stop and meaning stays behind. This one ends there, in the stillness after the music, in the calm that follows a storm of emotion. The night Jungkook cried on live will always be remembered, not as a moment of weakness, but as proof that even the strongest hearts are made of something tender. We saw that tenderness, we felt it, and it reminded us that honesty doesn't break an image. It makes it real, somewhere out there. The world keeps moving, schedules, flights, noise, but in the quiet corners of their friendship, laughter still happens, songs still begin with a hum, and gratitude still lingers like the echo of a note that refuses to fade. So, when you think of that night, don't remember the tears. Remember the courage behind them, because every time someone dares to show what's real, the world becomes a little kinder. By noon, the clip of his breakdown had already reached global news outlets. Every headline felt the same. Jungkook breaks down in tears. Emotional moment shocks fans. BTS bond melts the internet. But behind all the noise, the real story wasn't about the tears. IT was about something far gentler. Connection. The connection between two friends who'd grown up side by side in a world that never slowed down, who'd seen each other's best and worst, without judgment. Backstage memories began to surface in the minds of ARMYs everywhere. Jungkook and Taehyung laughing during rehearsals, chasing each other like kids. Late-night live streams where they teased one another. That one concert where Jungkook had wrapped an arm around Taehyung's shoulders and whispered something before they both smiled at the crowd. Moments that once felt small, now felt infinite. Later that evening, Jungkook opened Weverse again. He didn't plan to speak. He just wanted to scroll quietly, maybe see a few comforting words, but as he read the comments, endless, loving, understanding, he couldn't help but feel something warm in his chest. You don't need to be strong all the time. It's okay to miss someone. That's what makes you human, Jungkook. He wrote a short post. "Thank you for being kind. Sometimes emotions come out when you least expect them. Please don't worry too much, I'm okay. Just grateful. Always." It was simple, but honest. And in that simplicity, fans found peace too. Meanwhile, Taehyung didn't post anything, and stories, no live, no words. Just silence, the kind that says, "I'm here, even if I don't speak." But a few days later, during a radio interview, he was asked gently about Jungkook's live. The host smiled. "We all saw Jungkook get emotional on stream. It must have been touching for you too." Taehyung paused. He leaned back, looking thoughtful, eyes flickering for a second like he was replaying the memory in his head. Then he chuckled softly. Yeah, I saw it. He always tries to act strong, but he's actually a big softy." The studio laughed, but then Taehyung's tone changed, softer, more sincere. "You know, we've been through a lot together. Sometimes we don't say things out loud, but we know that I think that's why it hit him, because time moves so fast, and we forget to say thank you." He smiled faintly. "So, Jungkook, if you're watching, thank you too." That clip went viral instantly, but to the two of them, it wasn't about views or headlines. IT was just a quiet conversation between hearts, one spoken on live, one answered through a smile, and maybe that's what made the whole thing so powerful, not because it was dramatic, not because it was shocking, but because it reminded everyone, even the biggest stars, that missing someone is human. That even in a world full of lights, cameras, and endless applause, there are moments of stillness, moments when your heart whispers, "I miss the people who make me feel like myself." That night, Jungkook went live again, but this time, it felt different. He was calmer, lighter. "Hey," he greeted, smiling gently. Last time was a little emotional, huh? Fans flooded the chat with hearts. He laughed quietly. I watched the replay. I was like, why did I cry so much? He shook his head, smiling at the floor. But I think it's okay. Sometimes you just need to feel. He picked up the same guitar again, but this time, the song wasn't Spring Day, IT was still with you. His voice floated through the night, warm, steady, filled with gratitude. And when he finished, he looked straight into the camera and said, this one's for everyone who's ever missed someone but didn't know how to say it. Thank you for letting me be honest. Sometimes vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage. And on that night, Jungkook showed the world what courage really looks like. Before the lights, before the fame. There were just 7 boys in a small practice room in Seoul, tired, uncertain, and holding on to a dream that felt too big for their hands. Among them were 2 who were almost opposites. Taehyung, bright, unpredictable, always laughing at the wrong moments, and Jungkook, quiet, focused, sometimes so shy he'd answer with just A and OD. AT first. They didn't talk much. Jungkook was younger, still finding his voice, still figuring out how to fit into a world that demanded confidence. But Taehyung noticed him, the way he stayed after practice, repeating the same dance move until midnight. One night, when everyone else had left, Taehyung peeked into the room. Yeah, he said, smiling. You're still here? Jungkook looked up a little startled. I just need to get this part right. Taehyung laughed. If you keep practicing like that, you'll forget how to breathe. He tossed him a bottle of water, and in that small, ordinary moment, a quiet friendship began. From then on, Taehyung would wait after rehearsals, sometimes just sitting nearby, humming nonsense songs while Jungkook practiced. And oh, deep talks, no big promises, just presence, the kind of presence that says, you don't have to do this alone. Years passed. They moved from tiny dorm rooms to stadiums, from nervous debuts to world tours. But inside, a piece of that practice room simplicity remained. There were nights when exhaustion hit harder than applause, when they'd crash on the couch, barely talking, just breathing in the same tired silence. Sometimes Taehyung would break it with a random joke. Kook, when we're old, we'll still dance like this, right? And Jungkook would groan. Hyung, I'll be too tired for that. They'd laugh until the tension disappeared. IT was in those small exchanges, the teasing, the shared exhaustion, the quiet gratitude, that their bond grew roots unspoken. Steady. Real. Looking back now, fans often see only the polished stage moments, but the truth is, it was the unseen nights that shaped them. The nights when Jungkook doubted himself and Taehyung would nudge him with a grin, saying, you'll be fine, golden one. Or when Taehyung felt uncertain about his voice, and Jungkook would stay up helping him record, muttering, let's do one more take. Those weren't the kind of moments caught on camera, but they were the kind that built trust, and maybe that's why, years later, when Jungkook broke down live, the emotion ran so deep. IT wasn't sudden, IT was every laugh, every late night, every you got this echoing all at once. Because sometimes friendship isn't loud, it's quiet. It's a steady hand on your shoulder when you forget how far you've come. Time moved on, as it always does, schedules filled, new projects came, and the world kept asking for more songs, more performances, more smiles. But beneath all the noise, the connection that began in that small practice room never really left. Sometimes they'd pass each other in the hallway of a studio, just a nod, a short, you doing okay? And that was enough. Other times, they'd share a laugh during a rehearsal, eyes meeting for a split second before the music pulled them apart again. They didn't have to talk about that night on live stream. They didn't have to explain the tears or the headlines, because both of them already knew what it meant. Jungkook understood now that emotion isn't something to hide. It's proof that the memories still matter. And Taehyung understood that sometimes the most honest words come out when no one plans them to. They each carried those lessons quietly, not as weight, but as warmth on the next group rehearsal. When the lights dimmed and the track started, Taehyung glanced across the room.